forward and que viva Lumumba Zapata.
¡Que viva!
Who wants to hear someone from the original Lumumba Zapata Coalition speak?
I am really honored to have you invited, and I am a bit afraid of falling into nostalgia. I'll try to avoid it. Más alto. It's okay. All right, can you hear me now? No. Like this? Yeah! All right. Listen, I cannot say too much about your specific demands because I don't know them well. I mean, I've read them and so forth. I take it for granted that you are right in demanding what you are demanding because you are students, and as a sign of analysis, criticism is critical, and it comes very often, if not always, at the universities. It comes from students. And let me pick up on something apropos of that, something that my scholar was saying. You're a nice crowd, but not very large.
Come on in, guys.
It's a nice crowd, but not very large. But it can grow. Remember when we started on the business of Lumumba Zapata, there was an organization, student organization, BSU, Black Student Union.
Yeah!
There was a Chicano organization that first was called Maya, and then became Chicano, the Chicano organization. And you know how many black students and Chicano students there were on campus then? Have any idea?
10.
No. We did better than that because we did recruiting in the high schools.
Yeah.
But there were approximately 40 black students, maybe 40 Chicanos. There were maybe 5 Asians. Always permanently 2 Native Americans who were always different because they were distraught. They could not handle, the situation. But with those students, we organized everything. And when I say we, I mean basically the students organized everything. Can you imagine 40 to 50 Chicanos, 40 to 50 African Americans creating the idea of Lumumba Zapata? Of course, like Pascal said, with the incredible help of Keith Lowe, Jamaican, who was later deported, naturally, and with Angela Davis. So all I can say to you is that you're not very large yet, but you can grow. And to me, it is really, really heartwarming to see you all here. Thank you.
Now what we want to do is talk about some of the issues that we have with the doc program, some of the changes. If you want to hear why we've been fired, it's because we've been saying the following things. We're going to keep it simple, but I want to briefly talk about the curriculum changes that have happened, and then Ben's going to talk about some other changes. If you've taken doc, this will mean a lot to you. If you haven't, bear with us. But it's pretty easy. Before, in doc, we used to have a foundational article by Stuart Hall. We don't have that article anymore. That was an important article for a lot of people. It set the foundation for the course, for the whole sequence. Now the foundational article for the Dimensions of Culture program is the introduction to a book called The Closing of the American Mind by Alan Bloom.
Why?
We used to have a very critical analysis of issues of race, class, gender, and sexuality in U.S. society. And we looked at those and their intersections to issues of power, ideology, liberal individualism. My students don't have that critical vocabulary anymore because we're not teaching that in an organized fashion in Doc 1. That's a big loss, and this is not about politics. This is about intellectual integrity and academic standards. This is about learning how to make arguments and about how to understand the material that we're reading. In Doc 2, we look at issues of justice. I was waiting for some laughter, but that's okay. We've always read the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Federalist Papers, and we should continue to do so. But we used to read that along with articles from critical race theory. We used to read that along with material that talked about the genocide of Native Americans. We used to read that material along with material that talked about the legacy of slavery in the United States. We used to interrogate the foundations of U.S. society, and now we celebrate them. We celebrate the Founding Fathers now in Doc, when we used to critique them and challenge a lot of their assumptions. We've always read Supreme Court cases in Doc 2, and we should continue to do so. But now, when we read the Bakke case, we don't even include the dissenting opinion of Thurgood Marshall. All my students really get out of Doc 2 are different levels of scrutiny. That seems to be what the course has turned into. And we want to say that today, we're going to turn that against the college, and we're going to submit Thurgood Marshall College to strict scrutiny. In Doc 3, we've always looked at literature, cultural production in the United States, and it used to be about multicultural U.S. literatures. It used to talk about the relationship between literature, culture, to social movements, to counterculture in the 1930s and the 1960s, and how important those were for U.S. society and for marginalized groups in the United States. We're not doing that anymore. Doc 3 now is a pretty incoherent course, and I don't even know how to describe it. We used to watch Spike Lee's film Do the Right Thing. Now we get lectures about minstrel shows and blackface in which the word racism is never mentioned, and they're discussed as satire. I don't know if anyone's seen Spike Lee's movie Bamboozled, but that's what's happening in Doc right now. So I think that the Thurgood Marshall administration should go watch Do the Right Thing and take a lesson from that.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about writing prompts in the Doc program. One of the best ways, anyone want to go on a writing strike? One of the best ways to really look at a program and what a program focuses on is not only what they read, but what students are asked to write about. Because what students are asked to write about is what students are asked to think about, right? Okay. So when I first got here, the writing prompt asked students to look at issues of structural racism. And it asked students to look at things like police brutality, about the ghettos in America, about the prison system, and racial profiling in the prison system. Funny, no one talks about the fact that, say, for instance, prisons in the United States have no problem practicing affirmative action, right? But somehow universities do. And we support that irony, right? Here, the focus on race in Doc 1 was dropped out, okay? And it was not dropped out because they thought something was somehow more important or racism was solved. It was dropped out because an administrator told me that race was considered too controversial for some students, okay? That is what I understood.